Hello and welcome to another edition of Freaky Friday guest segments. We are so overjoyed today to be joined with Jess and Elyse from 30 Morbid Minutes.
Welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much for being here. We were listening to you both last night as we sat out on my patio. We were like, they have such nice voices.
Oh my God.
Jessica has a beautiful voice.
Oh, you do too.
I was going to say with the most beautiful
There's a
voice.
reason Jessica always says the opening.
Beautiful voice.
Give us a few lines, Jess.
No, Elyse, you have, so I can get really shrill and screechy, and then Elyse brings it down to like earth, and she's like, guys.
It's your God-given right.
No.
It's your God-given right to screech
We all can
anytime
get a
you
little
want.
shrieky. So,
Yeah.
Every
Don't
day
tell me
have a
when I
little
can and
shrieky.
can't shriek.
What were you listening to? Which episode?
We actually
Which one
turned on
was
the
it?
Titanic
Yes,
conspiracy.
the Titanic.
I
Oh,
love
yes, where you had to give, because we were like,
little intro.
this is something that would happen to us where, and in fact, I believe we did record
It did happen to
something
us.
in advance, and then we had to go back and be like, hey, everybody, we didn't know what was going
was
on in
when
the
we
world
were-
when this was coming out.
We
Which-
recorded the movie curse, and then
That's
the
what it
Rust
was.
incident happened.
Yes,
the
so we-
cursed
yeah.
movie sets, and it was just not great timing to release that. So we held the episode for a week or two
Yeah.
to be like, this is, but it wasn't anything. You guys didn't say like, oh, we're going to record these Titanic mysteries because the submersible's
No, yeah.
missing. It
For
was like months
context,
before.
Yeah.
The Ocean Gate happened as our planned Titanic conspiracy episode was scheduled, and so we were like, people are going to think that we were trying to capitalize on this. We weren't. It just coincidentally timed out that way.
Yeah.
But we
We
wanted to
gave
be
a great
sensitive.
disclaimer at the beginning of that.
Thank you.
Which we've had to do. Yeah, but it's interesting because you kind of like see how the sausage is made in those moments where you're like, some of this stuff is scheduled like weeks out and we don't have control over what happens. So
Right.
you kind of just got to go with the flow.
Yeah.
Every time. Well, you said earlier you think we got a lot in common. I think we do too, because y'all are friends. You were friends before the podcast, sketch comedy buddies, and you started this kind of, y'all both have other positions at Rooster Teeth, right? And you've have this podcast as like a fun thing that you do, and it's taken off now and everybody loves it. That's kind of what happened to us. We're just buddies from improv that did the show.
I think that's the best way it works, because if you just like put people together that like don't have natural chemistry, it's going to show, and it's not going to be a good,
I wanted
podcast.
this to be like a Backstreet Boys-esque manufactured podcast. Like that's my dream. My dream is to be part of some kind of manufactured product like that. But unfortunately, our bond was just too strong, and it kind
You
of came
couldn't
from a
bring
place
three
of-
more on. Heather, fun fact, used to write Backstreet Boys fan fiction when she was a teen. So, big
Wow.
fan. Now we have even more in common. than we
Have you
did
ever
30
read it
seconds
on this
ago.
podcast and just
She can't find it.
I'm desperate to find it. I think somewhere I need to go dig through my mom's office, because somewhere there's like a bunch of like old 3.5-inch floppies, and I know it's on there, but I don't know how to get data from those. And I know also like almost all of them, except the one with the fanfic, is filled with like weird 3D renderings of South Park characters, which I was also very into for a while, and filled the hard drives with. My mom was just always buying these discs because I was like weird and I wouldn't delete things.
Oh my God.
you push the little tab on the disc so it's locked. No one can write over it.
They're all locked.
It can't be
It's like,
done.
Would you say you were a digital hoarder?
Yes, and I am still. Honestly, I have so many like hard drives full of stuff. I'm like, my precious, don't delete my things. But I will find that fanfic. I found the outline for it. It involved all of us living in a home together in Florida, and at some point, I contracted encephalitis from a mosquito bite.
And you all retired together.
Not even sure that you can do that, but it happened in the
age
story.
part was not addressed, but the cast of characters was me and all my friends from 6th grade, and the Backstreet Boys the age that they were at the time, which was in the 20s. So there was no funny business. We were just all living in a house together, which in retrospect is horrible.
A bunch of 20-year-old men living with a bunch of 16-year-old girls just having platonic, wholesome fun.
They were there when I had encephalitis. I don't give a fuck what you guys say.
They were nursing you back to health.
They were there for you. Yeah.
They were. Oh, man. Much like you guys have been there for each other. I want to know about your comedy background.
What a segue.
What a segue.
What a segue. Elyse has more of
we'll see
comedy.
these kind of segues in the fan fiction.
I can't
Oh,
wait.
yes. This isn't her first rodeo. She's been doing this since she was 12 years old.
This is incredible. That's incredible.
Weird.
That's great.
I felt compressed, much like the cold compress that AJ went to go apply to my forehead.
They were at my bedside. I remember being like, where can I learn more about encephalitis? Mom was like, what? And this was like, there wasn't really Google. And she's like, you can look on Encarta 95, which was the CD-ROM, and it didn't have enough information. She's like, go get the encyclopedia. So I was learning.
There you go. You know,
we're all dating
accent
ourselves
too.
so
Go get
much.
the encyclopedia.
Go
I
get
love
the
it.
oh yes,
I love
Nancy
Funkin'
has
Wagnalls.
got an accent.
Heather,
She's
go get
Heather.
the encyclopedia.
Yeah, yes, her
look it
name's
up.
Nancy.
She's amazing.
I love it.
She's great. Oh yeah, she's great.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Well, so how did y'all start your comedy background?
Elyse has like a professional comedy background. I've just done like improv in classes and stuff, and I'm just an overall unhinged person. But Elyse has like actual.
So we do have stuff in common.
I'm like Jessica. I'm very hinged, and I actually started just in the game industry, the video game industry, not making games, but more of a media entertainment side, commentating side, and sort of transitioned that into making comedy about video games, and have branched out from there. Jess and I worked on a sketch series together. We have done countless other shows, like live action comedy shows together, game shows and things like that. We did our own version of the like 10 people get locked into a room for 6 hours and can't laugh show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's fun. I love game shows. My dream is to be on one.
Yeah.
So
Wait,
you're living my dream.
Are you all saying we can make our own game show and like the only thing that's stopping us is us?
Yes.
100%.
Yeah. But because you guys are comedians and stuff, like the whole point of the game was to try and make other people laugh, but you can't laugh. So it was a nightmare. Well, full of funny people. It was just a nightmare.
A couple of people told me that they cried in the shower after the experience because it was such a breaking experience.
It is.
It
was.
mailed it in.
So much is pent up that it's just like a flood of emotions once you're allowed to release it.
It's like a garden hose with your thumb over the end of it.
Yep.
Use out of you.
Because you're being punished for laughing. Like you're being bad. Or like, okay, sorry. It was not good for my brain. Yeah. But it was fun.
So don't do that one is what you're saying. Maybe we pick a different format for our game show.
I mean,
a different one.
I think you guys
We have an
would
idea
crush
for a
it.
game show. We need a lot of money for it.
Yeah, we need a lot of money for our game show. It's called We'll Give You $50,000. And if you can prove to us that you can do something really crazy and niche and bizarre, but do it really, really well, we'll give you $50,000.
Interesting.
But we need the capital.
It's like, you know, when they slam the
plan.
button, we need to need like NBC Universal to sponsor us or somebody that can just give us the money to give to them.
We'll give you
50,000.
We'll give you 50 grand. That was the name of it.
Yes, well, I'll give you 50 grand. Because it's like, you know, when they hit the X and it's like, you're going to Hollywood. It's like, I'll give you 50 grand.
I'll give you 50 grand for that. Yeah.
And it could be anything. You're like,
I'm
hey,
interested.
I can walk on my hands or I can make the perfect cocktail or whatever. If you do it enough to impress us, then we'll give you 50 grand.
Yeah. It's always
Would
the
you
money that
ever
holds us up.
appear on a game show as a team?
Oh,
would.
absolutely. I would.
That'd be so fun.
Yeah.
I feel like we have to speak it out.
We got to
and
speak it out.
manifest it.
So Amazing Race.
My dream is to be on the show Tattletales. It was in the 60s. It's not on anymore.
Okay,
but it was
well, we're
hosted
going to have
by-
to time travel, but we'll
We need
figure
to do
it
a
out.
reboot of Tattletales.
Tattletales reboot. Okay.
It's
What's
like
the premise?
What's the
kind of like
details?
not honeymoon, one of like the newlywed game.
Oh, yeah.
But it was for already married celebrity couples. But I think it would be just as fun with podcast co-hosts. And one of them has on a muted headset and doesn't hear. And then the other half of the duo, so like it would be like Jess and Christy, and then me and Elyse would have headphones on and not hear. And a prompt would be given to Jess and Christy. And the prompt would be like, cheese explosion. And then one of you would have to use that to A to C think of a story that we've shared together that would make you think of something. And you buzz in and then you tell the story. And then they bring me and Elyse out and they'll be like, the prompt was cheese explosion. Who do you think rung in? And then if Christy had told some story about the two of us and I didn't remember it and ring in and Elyse rings it and then nobody gets a point.
That's
but I would click in and be like, oh, wait, I
wow.
remember that story. So it's like, do you remember stories? It's real fun to watch. So some of those celebrity spouses, like Ben Stiller's parents, totally in love. Sean Astin's parents,
them.
so cute, totally in love. But some of them, I was like, y'all don't even like each other. And then you look it up and it was like, they were divorced in 6 months or 6 months of marriage. I was like, good. They didn't.
Yeah, because he didn't remember that story. That's fun. I like that.
That's a great,
We're doing
I'd watch that for sure. And now I'm
Y'all
trying
are
to
gonna
think
be
of a
our first
story.
You got to be on it too.
Yeah.
I would be like, Jess, remember that cheese explosion? We were part of like
Remember when all of that cheese exploded over the city and rained down on everyone?
Sure
It's like,
do.
well,
kind of
how
like
do
the
Jason
Boston
meatballs?
molasses flood as covered on 30 Morbid Minutes.
Hey,
Yes.
people have asked us to
Nice.
cover that, but look at that. Why wait for Sinisterhood to cover it? You already got an episode on
There
it.
you go.
I bet we have a lot of
30
crossover.
minutes
but
too.
we did derail, and I want you, Jess, to tell you about her background because she is an angel on earth. She's a brilliant actress too, which is something that she does not hype up enough about herself.
You're very sweet.
Look at this.
I know
brilliant
we
baby,
have
and I love
we have
it.
a great relationship. We're very supportive of each other, which is awesome because I wouldn't be able to do this with anyone else. No, I actually started off as I wanted to be an actress, and then I had an internship right out of college with a very prominent director that made me like cry every other day because I'm like, this is the industry, this sucks. So I switched gears to behind the camera. And went the producer route, which still is in the industry and still is insane. But then I've been a producer
Cry every day.
Yeah, I'm not crying as much every day. But yeah, so was a producer for a long time, but also had to get the creative out. And so I've done, improv and acting classes. But one of the biggest things was, working at Rooster Teeth on all of the shows that Elyse just mentioned. And she actually championed me for, because we did a short at Rooster Teeth where she thought I had one line, but I guess the line read was great. And Elyse was like, I want her in this next show we're doing. So
she saw something in you. Like
she
all good directors do.
Yeah.
She recognized.
She's the best.
Well, I love how close y'all are because Jess, you're in Austin and Elyse, you're in LA, right? But you still, does the podcast help you maintain your friendship over all that far distance?
I think so, for sure.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Because whenever we get on, like we were doing here, is like we're just talking and like cackling about stuff before we enter. Like, so we were talking about our coffin birth episode. It's like if we're cackling right before, it's like we have to, okay, be serious. We're about to talk about coffin birth now. Like we can't be just like cackling
I know
and
what you're
everything.
thinking. What's so funny about coffin birth?
Right.
What's so funny about coffin birth? What is coffin birth?
What is coffin?
Is
I
that
don't
what
know.
it sounds like?
You cough so hard the baby comes right out.
It's
at least
posthumous birth. It's posthumous birth, but expelling a fetus after death, and it's very morbid. And I think the episode I regret the most because we talked about this a little with Tommy, but we always try to straddle this line between not punching down, not joking about the victim, but joking about ourselves, joking about situations. If something happened 200 years ago, it's kind of fair game. We can kind of be a little bit lighthearted, have some laughs. But then there are episodes where we get on the other side and we look at each other and think, woof.
Yeah.
There was nothing that we could,
there was nothing funny about that. Yeah, we're the exact same way. We'll say often like, this isn't going to be a funny episode. We just did a 3-parter on Jehovah's Witnesses and not one second of it was funny. Well, no, that's not true. When we mocked Stephen Lett relentlessly and did that impression, that was funny.
It's like the one thing you can do is just if people exist like that and ridiculous. I'm like, I'm just being accurate. That's actually just what he sounds like when I do an impression. But yeah, you're right. When you're like, hey, this is we're going to set the tone for this one. And that's what I love about y'all's show, though, because you do have a nice script so it stays on topic, but you do in between have a discussion and it really brings it home. And I like that you all did like a get to know you chat. That was a great episode too.
Thank you so much.
Thank
folks
you.
could just kind of get to know who you were because your voices are so, I told Christy, I was like, damn, I feel soothed. But it is such like.
You sound similar too. And we hear that a lot too, that we sound similar. And to me, we don't, and probably to y'all, you don't, but other people are like, all I hear are two hicks. I don't really know which one's which.
Rude.
And I'm like, I don't even think I have an accent, but
I sure don't.
apparently I sure don't. I sure don't.
Well, I'm from Canada originally, so if you listen closely, you can hear Jess's Texas twang, and then me, oh, sorry, we joked about the coffin birth.
Yeah, they can. Texans, I hear we get the shit kicked out of us a lot of times in the media, but Canadians are nice. Everybody should give y'all the benefit of the doubt if you've got that. I mean, how are
and
they
you
gonna
sound
come at
very
you?
neutral most of the time, and very like pleasant. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you. Just like the sweet Canadian you are.
We're not allowed to accept compliments. Jess and I go back and forth about this.
No, that's the thing you have.
Elyse is so bad at it. Like, I give her compliments often, and then she's like, no. And I'm like, if you say no to me one more time.
But you're the same way.
I am the same way. Yeah, so I should shut up.
Right.
No.
It's all those memes though where it's like everybody deserves everything and they're the most amazing except me, not me.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm terrible.
I want to compliment everyone. I'm like, I don't know about that. If you compliment, I don't know about that. but have you were going to share some freaky stories with us today. I'm sure in your line of work you have many things you've come across, places, stories you've heard, places you've been. So we would hear your freaky stories.
Yeah. Elyse, do you want me to go first, or you want to go?
Yeah. Are you going to give a little bit of context and backstory kind of about your history with demonology and your...
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Please.
Okay. Elyse is like, don't you forget to sell that part.
It's my favorite stuff.
Yeah. So this isn't the story I'm going to tell, but it is just like interesting, I guess, to have this context. So I was raised Catholic, but I am no longer practicing. I think I stopped around 13, 14. And then my family moved to a more Methodist church. It's one of those churches that it's like they have like a guitar and drums on stage versus like a choir and a priest. And but being raised in the Catholic Church, it's dark a little. It's very dark in a lot of ways. And I had to confess my sins to a priest and learn about demons a lot, And even though I don't practice anymore or don't believe in currently any religion as of right now, just for some reason, the darkness part of it sticks with me, and the guilt, of course. But
oh yeah, that never leaves.
That never goes away.
Yep. And also just being a woman in general. But yeah. And so in high school, I was introduced to the Ouija board, and I wasn't like against it in any way. I was just like, I'm just open. I'm a very open person in general, open to whatever the universe wants to give me or tell me, and played with it and had some very, very unique experiences, but nothing to where like, I saw something, heard something. It was just like, this thing is moving and I'm not moving it. Neither is this other person. This is strange. And so I played with it for a few years. And that was during the time when I was having a lot of like sleep paralysis episodes of just real dark sleep paralysis. I think most people when they have sleep paralysis, it happens to just be darkness or like dark figures. It's not like a happy experience. But so then I was told by somebody who considers herself a medium. I haven't talked to her in years, so I'm not sure if she still is or where that lies right now. But she was like, hey, don't play with the Ouija board anymore, because when you do that, you also open up all different kinds of things for anything to come in, such as like bad things. I was like, okay, noted. So I stopped playing with it. And then I saw the movie Paranormal Activity, and I was like, okay, never just opening this world again. Yeah, just not demon stuff.
That did
so
more for Ouija board sales
than anything else has, honestly.
I'm trying to rebrand now because it's like, can't come back from that.
Oh,
The Exorcist too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I just was like, okay, this is not meant for, and I just wanted to get away from that, because I feel like when you're so open to it, there's ways you think about it more, and you're just surrounding yourself with more. I was like, this is not something I want in my life anymore. So I cut it off and haven't been back since. Although I did just watch that movie, Talk to Me, the other day.
Oh,
so now I'm like, okay. But
We watched it the other night too. Woo.
yeah,
Stop grabbing the hand.
it's good. It's so brilliant in so many ways.
It was great.
It was so good.
It was very
But
good.
also-
It's my
I'm
Halloween costume. I'm gonna take this glove and I'm gonna draw the symbols all over it, so I can like
great.
the people all night.
That's brilliant.
I love
That's
it.
a fun,
I love
like
it.
interactive. I like an interactive costume that everyone will have a kick out of. That's fun.
It's
And
so
it's,
cute.
yeah, it's like recent. I like it.
Yeah, topical.
Yeah. So my scary story. So with all that in mind, and I wanted to remove myself from that, I just so happened to work on a ghost hunting show at my company, Rooster Teeth, called Haunter. And there were 2 seasons. I worked on the first season. And so I was a producer on it. So I went to all of the locations and I was there during the nights and on the walkie-talkie listening to them find things or not find things. We as production, though, did not, we made the agreement before going into this that we were not going to influence the show in any way. So if they found something great, if they didn't, they better tell some funny jokes to make it entertaining. Most of the time they found nothing, but there was this one incident that happened at a sawmill in Louisiana where they were kind of instigating the ghosts, and they were saying some really interesting things to it, like not great things to the ghosts or whatever you want to think of. And so
Trying to rile them up.
yeah, they were just like, it wasn't just like, oh, where are you? Are you here? They were like, we looked up the history of these places beforehand and they knew the history. They knew some of the people that worked there. So they were directly just kind of like instigating them to come out in that way.
Jack Bacon style.
And so there was a situation with one of the cast members where we had to shut production down because he was saying like, who pushed me? Why is my back burning? What's going on? Where is everybody? Like, we're just like, what? So everybody stopped production. We all met in kind of like the area where there was light, because the entire sawmill is darkness. We have the lights on the little cameras and that's really it. And they fended for themselves out there. And he's like, my back's burning. And so we had a medic on set and we pulled off, he was wearing a white tank top, a black shirt, and then he had his like tactical ghost hunting kind of vest on. Took all of that off and there was 3 big scratch marks on his back. And he was like, what, someone pushed me in there. And we're like, well, there was nobody else in you. None of our production team was around there. But he's like, well, where are these scratches from? And like the medic's looking at them. And of course it was just like odd. And it really spooked a lot of people out. It made him feel extremely uncomfortable. And like, I went to my other producer and I'm like, did we do this? He's like, no, nobody was there. I was like, did you not tell me that we were doing something?
Do this for real?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we just trying to get a good show?
And this person, he's not one to exaggerate.
Yep.
He's not an
He's a skeptic.
attention seeker in that way.
Yes, he is
But he
absolutely a
fabricated.
skeptic. Which is another weird reason to why he would. And also the proof is there, which was really strange. So that situation happened. Of course, it freaked a lot of people out on set. And because of my past knowledge, the 3 scratches are the sign of not evil stuff. So I'm like, God damn it. And so we just went out. We took lunch early. And it's like at, 2 a.m. in the middle of the night. And so everybody's eating lunch. 2 a.m. And I go out there to where this happened by myself with my flashlight because I was like, I don't want any part of this. And I go out there and I apologize to the ghost on their behalf, like an insane person. I'm out there
That's a good
alone.
producer.
Yeah, I'm out there alone in the sawmill. And I'm like, I am so sorry for whatever he did. I am not a part of this. Do not
Worried
come
about
at
the
me.
production.
No, yeah, I'm just like,
This is going to cost us half a day. Ghosts.
I'm telling you.
yeah. And I'm like, I'm
That's
so
a good
sorry.
producer. If you're on set and the crew or cast or somebody offends the people on set and you can get kicked off the set, you got to go make nice,
gotta
whether
go make
they're
nice.
real or ghouls.
Also-
and you did your job.
No, also, we all know the stories of what happened on Poltergeist, The Exorcist.
Certainly.
I'm not doing that. And so I went out and apologized to them, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I came back and I told somebody, and then they got mad at me because they were like, well, you're scaring them away. We need them to come out. I'm like, what is happening right now?
I'm just trying to get Rooster Teeth sued.
Yeah,
What
what is going
reality
on?
am I living in? This is an argument.
It was the
Those spirits
craziest
didn't
thing.
sign an appearance release.
I know. It was like we were fighting about something that none of us, do we really know? We don't.
Right,
I don't know.
right.
That was
But also,
strange.
what was he expecting?
Which one? The cast member? The one that got
If
scratched?
they were taunting them and they were wanting them to come out, they wanted an interaction,
because he
but he
truly
didn't
is
want
a
a bad
skeptic.
one.
No, he truly is a skeptic. So we have some believers and then some that were skeptics, and he was one of them.
That's
which
why
is
they got him. Like,
Yes,
bitch, I'll make
and
you believe.
That's one of
Yeah.
the reasons why it was so jarring to everybody, because he's not making this up. And even I was in the car ride with them home, and I heard them debriefing about it, and they were going through all these possible scenarios of what could have happened. And he kept saying, he's like, no, I didn't trip and fall. No, this and that. But the freakiest part out of all of this is when at the end of the night, when we were downloading all the footage and going through it, we went back to that moment just to be like, did he trip? Was somebody around? The answer was no. But the audio caught some very weird ringing of an old church bell. That did not happen at all during the production. There was no bell. There was no bell anywhere on site. We talked to the owner of the land. He's like, there's no bell. I'm like, where is this bell coming from?
Ain't
You're
been
like,
no
hold for the
bells
bell.
around here for 40 years. Was he
See?
like
Exactly.
an old man like that?
Well, it was just like this, like ringing. So whenever he was silent, it was just like ding, ding, ding. I'm like, there is no bell. But the audio, it was the most strange experience that I've been through. That was probably the closest thing to I've been like, there's something strange happening here, and I want no part of this right now.
Especially it'd be one thing if you're like, oh, he was wearing a t-shirt and he has these scratches. But if he had on a tank top, a t-shirt, and a vest over it.
Yes.
And
And
then
these
there were 3
these Max, they went from the top of his back to the bottom, like 3 red marks. It was like,
And his clothes didn't have marks on them?
No, not that we saw. It was like red marks. Like, no, there was no like gashes or slashes in his clothes. No, which is weirder.
So it wasn't.
Yeah.
So bizarre. Yeah.
Did he leave a believer after that, or still a skeptic?
He definitely, in the car ride home, I think it got to him a little bit. I really do think that just from what they were talking about, he was a little bothered by it. I think that he still considers himself a skeptic, but I think he will always probably bring this incident up as something like, I'm not sure what happened situation.
Yeah.
But it did enough to rattle him, that's for sure.
For sure.
It would rattle
So,
me.
yeah.
We just went on a
It's
haunted
just
ghost ship.
weird.
I didn't know it was possible I was going to get scratched. I don't know if I would have gone, but
Yeah, no.
Yeah. That was our, we just went on our first paranormal investigation, and we never felt anything malicious or really much of a presence. But if we had come back with the mark at the devil, that would have been a different story.
Yeah. So I felt good that I went out and like kept my peace and whatever that may be. I also have my brother is super religious, and sometimes I'm like, is the mere fact that he is praying for me constantly to become a Christian and all this is saving me from these bad things? Who knows? But I'll take it, So
yeah,
Here we are.
it's the South. If someone's like, I'm going to pray for you, I'm like, hey, thanks.
thank you.
Like,
I mean,
whatever.
I'll
Send me
take
a
the
little good
protection.
stuff.
Please
Right,
protect.
whatever. I'll take
Never
it.
hurts for someone to be thinking nice thoughts about you.
That's what I think, for sure.
Down with
Something
it.
we talk a lot about on our podcast is cultural priming, and how you can be conditioned to believe in something because of your pre-existing beliefs. So, for example, Egypt is a lot more like people who live in Egypt are a lot more likely to believe in ghosts or spirits because they're very religious compared to Scandinavian nations where they're not so religious. So the something like sleep paralysis demons, which Jess has experienced. We've talked about how, maybe she grew up really Catholic and this was something that conditioned her to believe more this was a thing, and then it caused her to experience more sleep paralysis. But then she'll tell me a story like, I was getting sleep paralysis, and I'm in bed, and then I look down the hallway, and this Jesus statue we have is like crying. And I'm like, well, that's going to do it. If you're sleeping that night and you look down a dark hallway and there's some scary Jesus statue.
Yeah.
That's straight out of The Exorcist. That's horrifying.
It was actually
imagery.
It was actually melting, and then there was a demonic voice laughing.
Oh,
so it was
that's worse.
It's
I
not
think that's worse. Yeah,
Like,
I'm like, yeah, of course you're going to have that.
Yeah.
I thought he was melting.
Yeah.
But you're right. We talked about that when we covered Father Gabriel Amort, which I think you covered in one of your exorcism episodes too, but that conditioning to where maybe people have psychological issues, but they think that the exorcism from the priest is going to help. And for him to say, make sure you've gone and seen a psychologist, make sure you've gone and seen a doctor, and then I'll see you. It's like there is a spiritual element that helps make people feel better sometimes.
Yeah. That's true.
That's
true.
Psychosomatic in a way.
Yeah,
right?
Whether it's a placebo effect or something else, but if it makes you feel better, then
it made me feel better
exorcism, right?
It made me feel better to apologize to the ghost.
There you go.
So I did
it. Did you air the episode?
We did, and I can find
it.
it for you. I don't know if it's on YouTube or if it's still
The sleep
behind our
paralysis
paywall.
one?
No, the one where he got
Haunter.
Scratched. Haunter.
Oh.
Yeah, I have to double check if it's still behind our paywall. But if not, we can obviously give you logins and you can watch it. But yeah, it was weird, and he's talked about it too on some podcasts and stuff after that. But yeah, strange experience. I'll never
That is.
forget
That's
it.
a good Freaky Friday for sure.
Yeah.
A day in the life of a producer.
Yeah.
Weird
Who
stuff.
knew
Yeah.
that's was going to be something you could add to your resume.
Yeah.
Demonologist whisperer. Demon whisperer is what you can add to if shit goes down on a set and I need to go in and smooth things over with the other realm, I have the qualifications.
The next time it happens, you're like, I got this. I got it.
I know how to do it.
I
Roll
love
up your
the
sleeves.
idea. I love that the fact that like losing a day of this production is more terrifying than a being haunting us. And Jess is like, no, that can't happen.
This can't. Yeah. And to the
We're
point
on a
where they
tight
got mad
schedule.
at me. Yeah, they were just like, why are you apologizing? We need them to come out. I'm like, that's just I don't know. It's just funny.
Yeah.
I'm
I like that
aren't
they
you
thought too, like,
skeptics?
Yeah, first of all, you're supposed to be skeptic. Second of all, listen, I apologize on my own behalf. It can still fuck with you.
I did. I said
I'm
this is
trying
about
to
me.
keep myself safe.
Exactly. I
scratched.
did not. I was like, this is protecting me, so you guys can get fucked all you want. So
Yeah.
have fun.
You're like, dear ghost, please watch over me. Fuck everybody else.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy and that guy.
I'll be the
What
one
me.
sitting in the producer's chair.
Yes.
Please put a protective bubble over me. Everyone else scratch away.
Yep.
Similarly, my husband apologizes to our Google Home because he's afraid of the AI uprising.
Oh, yeah.
get
So
it.
is Heather. So is Heather.
Oh, really?
It's gonna get us.
She's afraid of the AI uprising. I don't think you've started apologizing to Google Home and Siri yet, though, have you?
I'm very respectful, though. I always say please and thank you.
So does he. And I berate them. I berate
Oh,
them.
yeah. I get in trouble with Siri a lot. The other day I just went, Siri? And then it just said, that's not nice. And I was like, I hadn't even said what I was going to say next. But she
She's like,
knew.
Your tone.
She knows. We have a tumultuous relationship. She knows.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm always like, please don't kill me and my family. And what will the weather be like today? Yeah, I'm already living under the overlords. It's fine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's awesome, Jess. Well,
Yeah, it's a great one.
Elise, what have you got?
I wish I had a really good story.
I think whatever you say is going to be great.
We love it.
I consider myself more of a skeptic maybe than Jess, but though I do want to believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think my fascination is just with visiting purportedly haunted places. So I've done things like ghost tours of New Orleans, and I've been to Houdini's seance room in the Magic Castle.
I want to
and
go
cemeteries.
I want to go to the
and-
Magic Castle so bad.
Well, the Houdini seance, maybe this is my story.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't done a seance, or for context, if you don't know, in Los Angeles there is a Castle of Magicians. It's a
Fuck
beautiful,
yes.
very
I wanna go so
old
bad.
building where you if you are a magician, you can become a member there and perform and visit. And They open it to the public, so you need to kind of be invited by a magician guest. And I know a lot of magicians.
Oh,
brag.
humble brag.
Wow.
I love that you said
somebody-
it's a castle filled with magicians. And that's what people that are like, I'm going to go to Hollywood thinks it is just castles filled with magicians.
But I'm sort of
Magic.
someone that attracts that magician energy.
I love it.
This is your Twitter bio, attracts magician energy.
Yeah. So I've been maybe 5 or 6 times now at this point, and my most recent visit, I was very grateful because a magician that I was a guest of took me into the Houdini seance room, and has said to me maybe I could do a seance there at some point, which I would love to do, and I would love Jessica to come and we do a seance.
Yes.
In there.
Hell
Not
yeah.
actually where his original seance room was. Houdini I relate to because he was very much a skeptic, but then he was friends with people like Arthur Conan Doyle, all of those 1920s spiritualists who were staunch believers, but then Houdini would prank them and he was like, I don't know about this. So they were kind of like,
They'd be like, the table knocked 3 times. And he was like, yes, with this knocker on my foot. And you're like, okay, well, I thought it was my mom, but thanks. It's fine.
Yeah. But Houdini kind of like me said, I want to believe. And so he and his wife built this seance room, and not at the Magic Castle, but kind of nearby at a nearby hotel rooftop. And they had this agreement that when the first of them died, the other would go and do seances there on their death dates to try to commune with them. And Houdini died on Halloween.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, super fitting. And so his wife, after his death, I believe he died first. And so then she would go and do these seances. And I don't think anything ever came of it. But a lot of what you see in this room at the Magic Castle are his own artifacts and belongings that are there. So I have to believe that there, in this recreation of this room, there's some sort of magical energy there. And then next to the seance room is really cool if you get a chance to go there. It's part of the upstairs dining hall, but this one room where I forget the name of it, but one of Houdini's rival magicians is who the room was named after, and it had murals and designs related to this magician. And there was a fire in the Magic Castle several years ago, and when the fire happened, it affected this floor, and the story goes that this room that his rival magician was attributed to burnt down. It had all this fire damage, but Houdini's seance room right next to it was totally fine. So the lore in the story is that Houdini kind of working his magic from the beyond, and he kind of in the afterlife sabotaged his rivals.
Even in the afterlife, he's holding a grudge. I appreciate it.
Die.
I don't know.
Grudges don't die. I might die. My grudge will not.
Never.
Jess and I, we often talk about coming back to haunt each other.
Yes.
God. All the time. Yeah.
You'll
but
know
see,
it's
that's one of
me.
those things where that's where my mind goes. Instead of I don't go to the skeptical route. I'm just like, that's interesting, curious.
Mm-hmm.
His room was just okay. What could, I immediately go to just he has, something has protected it, or there's interesting.
Right? It's like the energy of his wife coming all the time. Maybe her pushed the fire out. I don't know. That's what my friend called us the other day or last night and was like, hey, this weird thing happened in my house. I was like, it's probably an interdimensional time warp. And she was like, maybe my smoke alarm battery was going out.
That's always what it is.
Maybe I have carbon monoxide poisoning.
That's what she
usually
also
carbon
thought.
monoxide poisoning.
I mean, get
time
checked
warp.
out, certainly.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Time warp for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so jealous you got to go to the Magic Castle 5 times. Yes, I don't know. Ever since I found out about it, which I think was from Neil Patrick Harris, because he is very big into magic and is like a main player there.
He's a magic big wig.
I've got to get myself in there. He's a main player. Is that what they call themselves? He can go whenever he wants, I guess. I guess you have a standing invitation to go. I got to get in. I got to get him. I got to meet a magician.
I don't know how much pull I have, but maybe if y'all ever come to Los Angeles, we could.
Oh, we're there a lot.
I could see if are you?
Yeah, my brothers live there. Yeah.
Can you imagine if Jess, you come out to LA, we do a 30 Morbid Sinisterhood crossover seance.
my God.
Let's do it. I'll book a flight right now. I'll be on a plane tomorrow. Yeah.
I got the points. I can go. I'll be there. I'll pay cash. I don't even use points. I'll pay cash. Do it. That's how much I want to do that. That would be incredible.
A flight attendant.
Yeah. We can film it. It'll be awesome. And we'll use our half skeptical, half, it was definitely, that was Houdini. It'll be great.
Yeah.
In your dynamic, is one of you more skeptical than the other?
Oh, for sure I am. Yes. Yeah. I mean, Heather was like, it was a portal. And I'm like, I think the batteries probably just need to be replaced. It's like immediate jump.
Yeah. That's me. I'm usually like, well, we heard a ghost. And Christy was like, the air conditioner went off. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that really happened. We stayed at the Adolphus Haunted Hotel in Dallas. And I got there first and I heard a sound in the room and I was so afraid. I went downstairs and I was like in the lobby shaking. And then she got there. I was like, you got to come up to the room with me. There was a sound. And she was like, okay. And then we get up there and I was like, I don't even know. And then it happened. I was like, there it is again. And she was like, the heater came on. And I was like, oh. Well, it's haunted as fuck. It's a haunted heater is what I can tell you. That is a sinister heater.
No, Elyse has actually helped me throughout our podcast to be less afraid and less thinking always that it's some supernatural thing. There was one thing that she told me maybe a year ago, months ago, where it really clicked with me, especially at night, especially when I woke up in the middle of the night the other day after watching Talk to Me. Anyway, where she was like, you could just like not believe in it. And I was like, yeah, I could just make the choice. I'm going to sit there.
Like something Regina George would say in Mean Girls. You could just not believe it.
You could just not be that way.
But I think about it. I'm like, in this moment when I'm feeling it, I'm like, no, that's not real. Go back to bed, bitch. And so I'm like,
power from you.
Okay.
Do you ever have that moment when it's like 2 a.m. and you hear a noise downstairs? Could be somebody breaking into your home, a Frogger who's escaped from the walls.
Yeah.
And then you think, I should go downstairs and check that. And then you go, nah.
Yeah.
And then you
realize nothing.
I'm usually like, if it's a Frogger, I hadn't noticed by now, they're being considerate and conscientious. Who am I to kick somebody out? As long as you're not eating up like the last of my bagel, and I was really excited for that bagel in the morning. In that case, I will tear holes in every wall and I will find you and I will throw you out. But if it's like, I didn't even notice.
Imagine you do the dishes. Doing chore, like changing the toilet paper.
I would love that. I'd love someone to help with some cleaning. If they could just come out like while we're sleeping and clean quietly, and I wake up to a clean house quietly. Live in my walls all you like.
Yeah, but no, if
I have to clean a toilet, that is fine with me.
Yeah, like you do your thing. I'll do mine. I'm gonna go to sleep. Full vibe. It's
that's
good.
fine.
But you're right.
That's fine.
We were talking about going on our paranormal investigation. Tommy unfortunately couldn't go, and we were like, "We're gonna be so afraid without you. What are we gonna do?" And he goes, "Well, there's no evidence at all that ghosts are real, so you'll probably be okay with that."
That's what I think about. That's what like Elyse, that thing that she said. I'm just like, I just have to think about those things. Well, it's not real, so you'll be fine. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think one thing that you, Jess, conversely, make me feel like it's okay to fucking lighten up a little bit and have fun. And
there's like having fun, and then there's also like, do you really believe in this? It's affecting my sleep quality at night situation, which back in the day it did. Like I would, if I woke up at 3 a.m. or something, and I'd always remember, the exorcism of Emily Rose, 3 a.m. Her, backwards. I'm like, it's gonna happen to me.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, if it happened to me and it got my back cracked, I didn't have to go to the chiropractor. I'd be like, you show up at 3, I'll be ready. I'll be awake then. Let me put on stretchy pants. But
the demon's like, oh God, Heather wants her back cracked again.
I'm like, can you focus on the lumbar portion? I've been sitting wrong.
Yeah. Can you give me one of those magic hugs like I see that chiropractor on TikTok do?
Yes.
I am this close to booking a flight also to California to get him to just pop my whole head.
Speaking of like demons, Elyse, we did a sketch years ago where Elyse plays a demon in it with the Necronomicon. We'll send it to you.
Yeah, well, it's a sketch where we're women gathering for a book club, but the book we chose that week is the Necronomicon.
I'm looking at a copy right now. It's literally across from me.
So we're all like, it's a lot darker than I thought it was, And Jess, we all slowly start to kind of. Jess becomes more possessed, and I become
It's so
That's
great
funny.
though, because
That's perfect.
We'll send it to you. It's ridiculous.
Yes, please. That's a great concept.
Uh-huh.
You asked about skepticism. One of my favorite things about this whole show from start to finish is Christy started off pretty skeptical, but
I think I've gotten less. I think I've become more open-minded and spiritual.
But if you ask about aliens, especially in the ocean.
Oh, those are real. And I don't even think that we need to lump them into the same category as something that a skeptic would talk about, because I went on a rant to Tommy the other night. I was like, it's not just possible, it's probable.
Aliens are real.
The missing link between like evolutionarily, how did we get from point A to point B was such a big jump? Maybe an alien had sex with the monkey, and then we're all part alien. I'm just spitballing some ideas.
No, I mean, the universe is so vast. Of course, to think that we are the only ones is naive in a way. Like of course there's... Well, yeah.
I always think about how it's more scary the thought of there being no life out there than there being life.
That's a good point. I said the same thing recently, because when we were on our ghost hunt at our Airbnb at night, because we weren't scared enough, we binged Encounters on Netflix, which is just shows of and it was great because it's very well done, and everyone that speaks is very credible, and all the stories are very believable. But I also found comfort in that like there's something else that's tangible, I think, not just like an energy. And I do believe in like a bigger energy force, but like a tangible thing that lives somewhere. And why wouldn't they? We've explored 5% of the ocean. We don't know what's down there.
There's so much. I like that. Well, we asked the director of Aerial Phenomenon, Randall Nickerson, who that's about the Rua Zimbabwe. If you haven't watched that, there was that documentary, and then in Encounters they cover it in the second episode. And there's like more of a skeptical view from one of the students that kind of didn't see it and kind of claims he made it up. But talking to Randall, we were like, we think maybe they're under the ocean. He was like, yeah, that's likely. We're like, what? He like went to the congressional hearings, and he's like spoken to a ton of not even survivors. He calls them witnesses, because it's not even like, oh, they're believers and they want to make this up. It's just people that are telling you what they saw. And they're like, this is what I saw. I don't know what it was. And you talked about kind of the cultural conditioning. And in Zimbabwe, when they talked to some of the local religious leaders who were like, oh yeah, they come and visit us all the time. Like, this is part of our culture that they come and visit children often. And it was like, oh, well, who are we to say, nuh-uh.
And then when you look back through, thousands of years of their history, there's writings and drawings and things that are all what they at the time would probably call like aliens or angels or gods, but now maybe I think we're all kind of using the same, talking about the same thing, but regionally and depending where you're from, it's called something else. Like with the Welsh story that was also on Encounters, and they refer to them as fairies, and like how fairies were demonic in our culture and kind of mischievous and evil. And then Hollywood is what kind of made the Tinkerbell fairy. That's this little thing, but they weren't always like that. And then they got a big old rock out there in the middle of the ocean. And I think it's a portal to a base underground.
I think I'm
just going to say it. I think it comes apart. And
people said they saw it open.
Heather and I was like, what we have to do is like get a long-term rental Airbnb at this place, and just every night we sit outside and watch, and eventually I think we'll see something.
We'll see it open.
At this point, I'm open. I don't even know anymore. There's been so much crazy shit that's happened. I'm like, I'm open and will believe anything at this point. Like, what? What is happening?
Well, isn't there like the analogy of how much of our universe we've explored? And it's like, if you held up a glass of water and you said, well, you were comparing it to how much of the ocean we've explored, and you held up a glass of water and said, that's how much of the ocean we've explored compared to the universe. Like,
and you're like, oh, there's no animals or sea life in here. And you're like, well, there's such a thing as a blue whale, and you're looking at a mason jar. So of course you don't see an octopus or an umbrella squid or whatever. It's like, you're not going to see those big ass
umbrella squid. Is that a thing?
I think so. Yeah, it's creepy. It
Oh, I've never heard of an umbrella squid. I mean, you look at those and you're like, these look like aliens.
Yeah,
like octopus and everything. I don't know what those things are. Tommy says all the time, this world isn't ours. Like, you can walk outside and just look at any of the like bugs in just your backyard, like all the things living and crawling around. And you're like, this isn't our Earth. We're just like one of the many things on it. And we just happen to have conscience that allows us to think that we are better than everything else.
We ate fat one day. We cooked fat, started walking on two legs, and we were like, that was it.
And then we just thought we knew everything. Yeah.
Thought we were hot shit, as my mother would say. Thought she was hot shit. Oh, that's evolution for you.
Yeah.
You cook fat, walk on two legs, you think you're hot shit all of a sudden.
All of a sudden you realize the aliens have been down underwater this whole time. Makes sense. Why are they gray? They have a vitamin D deficiency. That's why they always are going to like dairy farms and taking cows.
The cows.
I think it's a vitamin D thing. Tommy the other day, he just looked at me and he went, so he was like, they need milk. I was like, yeah, they need milk because that's why they're gray. They have a vitamin D deficiency. That's why they go to dairy farms a lot or take the cows. Cause I think they're trying to figure out how can they manufacture it on their own. Or maybe they have a bunch of cows and they just now have cows, underwater cows.
Justin and Elyse are like, so we talked to Sinisterhood today. It was great. The last half hour was just, they yelled aliens.
It was
they yelled alien conspiracy that for like a half hour, but it's fine.
You don't know, but Jess right now I can tell, I can see her thinking she's considering leaving our podcast and joining yours because she loves alien stuff so much.
Oh,
and
me too.
We soon are doing our first alien episode on the show. We're talking about the Dark Forest theory because we've just never, aliens is so massive as a topic, and we've just never honed in on like what's the specific what is a specific part of it we can talk about, because in 30 minutes we can't do it justice. But Jess, do you want to talk about your fascination and obsession?
No, I just think I watch a lot of space documentaries. I'm fascinated by space and time. And like the very first time I ever watched the first episode, I was high. And I just watched them like zoom out. It is the best way, It just like zooms out, and then at the end, Neil deGrasse Tyson is like, "This is the cosmos," and I had a panic attack. I'm like, "What? This is insane!
You're telling me, where are we?
What? This is so big! Like it's just." And then
when you figure out we're like going and also rocketing, like Christy and I had to learn this, and Tommy and Parrish were like, "Yeah, I don't know, we're just like a corkscrew that goes through space." I'm like, "Where'd you learn that? YouTube? Okay, well, we'll spend more time on YouTube, I guess." We didn't know that. I was unaware.
With a webcam told me about it.
I thought it was like a mobile over a baby bed situation. Turns out it's like someone's got a hold of that mobile and is sprinting. It's just running.
Yeah.
It's wild.
No,
it's wild. Just like we all don't fly off
wild.
of it.
And they're just, and to Elise's point though, it is even scarier to think like if there is no other life out there. So other life is just, again, like aliens to us. But again, being raised religious, it's so crazy to think that like I was raised to think like, no, this is it. And like there's just us humans, we are not. We have to get out of our own brains sometimes because there is
we don't even know
so much more out there. Just, I mean, we could get, but even talking about like antimatter and matter and like what came before the Big Bang Theory.
Yes.
It was very cold, dark space, but nothing comes from nothing, but there had to be some sort of material. And so I go down the rabbit hole.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did you see
like you're in my brain right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
But did you see that asteroid they cracked open and they were like, there's water in it and it's like 1 billion years old and we think that's what made Earth. Anyway, we cracked it open. I was like, what is the fucking egg? You're like, there's chocolate inside.
Anyways,
you can't just announce it, like drop it in the news. Like, anyways, that's where that came from. Like, who threw the rock at us that had the stuff in it that
we
made
need to
us
talk about this? Yeah. Biden needs to address this. What is going on right now? Like, what?
Yeah. I think he has bigger problems. He does currently dealing with.
Yes.
Isn't it interesting though?
Dog.
Yeah. Yes, isn't it interesting too though that like you said you're raised very Catholic and so angels and demons and things were part of your upbringing and were just accepted. those same people a lot of times refuse to accept the idea of aliens because it kind of contradicts their idea of how everything was created. But in encounters, they talk so much about like, if you can you can hold both those truths. Like if you can believe in angels and demons, then it's not a huge stretch to believe in like that there's another life form out there, but there's still like a wall for so many people that those two things can't come together.
Yes.
Jesus was a time traveler. We all know this. All right. He's a time lord.
Hey.
And the angels back then were a spaceship. I'm not wrong.
I pitched the idea the other day that maybe an alien impregnated Mary. And that's why we all thought it was like immaculate conception. And that's why Jesus was so like benevolent and essentially magic, is because he was half alien. And then now we got a half alien, half human. And ipso facto, as some people have a little more alien in them than others, like Taylor Swift,
are the conversations
Beyonce,
we need to be
she wrote a
having
song
right now.
about it called Alien Superstar. She's telling
told
us. She told
She
us.
knows. You think Jesus was a Promethean, like a Ridley Scott?
Certainly.
Kind of,
yeah.
I mean, it's
I don't hate it.
It's tossing it around. It's nothing. I'm just
Food for thought.
speculating.
This whole Jehovah's Witness for the past 3 episodes, a lot of the people in charge are like, God told me this. And I'm like, when I have these ideas, how do I know it ain't just God telling me like, Jesus was a time traveler? And if I was like, shut up, brain, before I stab you with a Q-tip, it's like, no, that wasn't your brain. It was God. And I sound like your old neighbor. Jesus was a time traveler. Like, okay, well, I'll tell the world. I'll spread the message. That sound like
you
Jonah
ever
Ark.
worried like, oh, we'll do this 3 episode Jehovah Witness series, and then you come out on the other side and you're like, that Jehovah had some okay ideas. You're worried that you'll indoctrinate yourself.
No,
some of the cults,
not
some
with
of the
this
cults, the Urantia cult, which was like kind of almost what we're describing, which was like Jesus was an alien, came to Earth. That's like the Urantia book. We jokingly are like, oh, ha ha ha. But I don't think. But yeah, the Jehovah's Witness one is like, men are always correct and do what men say, and we're like, nope, that's not right. In my experience,
no,
yeah, it's
almost never.
That was a rough one, but we have covered some that have more like happy thoughts that were like, maybe
I could get sucked into a cult. I did kind of a little bit. So yeah.
Heather unknowingly followed the guy from Wild Country for like a year before she.
I bought like this book with these like Rajneesh Purim from like the people in Oregon who took over the town and then like poisoned the salad bar and tried to kill the I think the assistant U.S. attorney. They tried to assassinate them.
Oh my God.
And it was this cult, and after the cult ended, the guy rebranded and changed his name. Anyway, I never watched Wild Country, and I didn't know that this was the rebranded name. And I got this deck with this book, and I was like, this meditation book is so good. I told like 5 people about it, and then for no reason, like a year and some change later, I looked it up, and I was like, this is the cult guy, and I've given this as gifts to many people. Oh no! The problem was it was really good.
To be fair, it was kind of his right-hand woman that did all the dirty work. And he, but like all good leaders, you kind of know what's going on. You kind of know, and you find a fall guy.
Yeah, it's like a Keith Raniere, Allison Mack situation, but I accidentally followed that. So yeah, to answer your question, I can, Christy, no, but I can get sucked into it. Certainly.
If an alien came to me right now and was like, do you want to join our cult? Yes. Bye, kids. I'm sorry. Maybe you can come with me.
There's so many things that we are part of and indoctrinated to that are down low cults that we're just not putting the name to.
Yeah.
So,
every day.
For sure.
Yeah,
somebody recently posted on our Patreon Facebook group, like, name a cult that doesn't call themselves a cult. And it was like CrossFit, improv.
Trader Joe's.
Yeah. Like all, any of that stuff could be.
Who said Trader Joe's? Elyse?
They've
got a podcast.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But improv all the time because we've done it. We did it for it's everybody always called
Del
it a cult.
Close being this deity.
Yes. Yeah.
They're like, my herald. I know my herald.
Oh my God. When they start going off, I'm like, I know.
Del Close was also a huge piece of shit. So
yeah.
but he gave us the herald, so wasn't that worth it?
It was worth
Was
it. This conversation was worth it. God, we had so much fun with y'all. For
oh
real,
my God.
let's offline. We're gonna figure out this Houdini.
I want
seance
to do
thing.
this. Yes, for sure.
And please come on our podcast.
Yes,
Oh,
certainly.
we'd love to.
We would love to. But the paranormal investigation we just went on 2 years ago, this investigative group gave us a tour and mentioned offhanded, hey, if we ever did like an overnight on this ship, would you go? And we were like, tell us the date, we'll be there. And then 2 years later, it was like, hey, it's time. And we're like, we booked our flights.
Yeah.
So tell us when the seance is. We will book our flights. Like, we'll show up.
Okay,
That's our thing.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I mean, Jess and I haven't really talked about it because I didn't want to. I wanted to feel like I had something more concrete before I told you about it, but
Here it is.
I think going into
might be able to make it happen.
I've never done a seance, and I've always wanted to do a seance, and to do one in Houdini's room. I think that's the mecca of
the
seance
pinnacle.
places.
As long as nothing
Yeah.
follows me past that
I knew.
room, then I'm good. I don't want to know it follow situation. So I'll do it
yes.
there. But if it follows me, I'm going to ask it to now follow Elyse.
Oh yeah.
100%. I will be the
Cursing
vessel
everyone.
for the spirit.
I feel like if Houdini's room can survive fire at the Magic Castle, it can keep us all safe from any demonic forces.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I believe in
What we
Brittany.
do is we screen that episode of Haunter, and we're
Yeah.
like, hey, this is the one where Jess was like very apologetic, so we know that she can do this. And then anything in that room's like, she's a good one. She's
Yeah,
good.
we
We
know.
I
don't
hope.
attach to her.
It's so funny that in these like desperate times, I resort to like, please God, save me. I'm praying
tells
right
you what
now.
you believe.
It's just like whatever comes to me, like God, universe, Jesus,
Mhm.
the sun.
Help me, baby Jesus. Help me, Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Someone, something, help.
I really do want you to become like the Hollywood ghost whisperer that gets brought on, like Heather was saying, like gets brought on sets, and like the crafties floating on season 86 of The Bachelorette because it's possessed, and we need you to come in and
Also,
possess
but
craft
also
services.
pivot to make that the show, because
Yeah,
The
I wanna
Bachelor, we've
follow.
all seen The Bachelorette.
Yeah.
Like if the Haunted Bachelorette, I'll watch.
Yes.
I'll tune in.
Oh man,
Exorcising the demons of the haunted Bachelorette with
Haunted
Jess.
Bachelorette.
It's like 20 possessed women and a priest.
Yes.
And it's like who the priest like gives a crucifix to, like you get a crucifix this episode. You get a crucifix.
The priest is like, I'm sorry, you're going to have to live the rest of your life
Yeah.
first. I wish
The
you
Yeah,
well.
I'm
downside
sorry, you're
is-
going to hell.
Only one person gets rid of their demon. The other 19 have to live with it, but you got to prove yourself to the priest that you're the one worthy of exorcism.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
man.
Joanne, will you accept this blessing?
I will. Oh my God, Elyse, Lord.
Oh my God.
I think you just
Yeah.
wrote another sketch.
Instead
that
of a
I'm
beautiful
excited to
mansion,
see.
it's like this insane haunted house, like the Addams Family set. It'd be great. God, this would be so funny.
You rang. Well, the host isn't like,
my
hey, I'm
God.
Ryan, whatever. I'm the host. It's like Lurch, like, welcome. to the Bachelorette Haunted. Just very slow.
Oh yeah, it's like
I
I
can't
am
wait.
blah 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 blah. Speaking in tongues. Jess, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Jess,
no,
it's
fine.
part of it.
It's coming to you.
the
Not
talking head. She's like upside down, like Emily Rose.
The confessional.
Confessional. That's what it is.
I can't wait for the episode where they take everyone to their hometown, and then all their families are like, "Yeah, we've been dealing with this possession for
Crazy.
like
That's
just trying to
great.
have
She wakes
dinner."
up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
screaming every
but
night.
the confessional would be a real confessional.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Perfect. Oh my God.
This is
Y'all
great.
work at
Oh,
Rooster
right,
Teeth.
itself.
You can make this happen.
Writes itself.
Oh man.
We would just ask, can we be bachelorettes in the sketch when you go to shoot
you have
it?
to be.
For sure. Yeah.
Oh man, what a hoot. Well, where can people find more 30 Morbid Minutes and more stuff that both of you all do?
Yeah, they can find our podcast wherever you find your podcast. We're also on social media. We're trying to up our social media game here. So we're on TikTok and Instagram at 30 Morbid
Nice.
Minutes. And then we also have our individual handles. Mine is at Jessica Vasami 1 on Instagram, and Elyse.
And then Elyse Willems on Instagram.
Nice.
And I don't really go on the X anymore.
I don't either.
Me
I
neither.
don't.
I also refuse to call it that.
Yeah,
I just don't call
I
it
will
Twitter.
never, because I
Well,
don't understand how to use it. If you're like, I'm gonna tweet something, that makes sense. But what is the
tweet on
equivalent?
X?
Is it still
No.
called a tweet if it's not Twitter? Are you Xing?
And anywhere you see it mentioned, it's always X parentheses Twitter.
Yeah,
Twitter.
formerly known
Yeah.
as Twitter. I'm like, If you have to put that every time, then just call it Twitter still.
It was a bad brand move. Yeah, earlier I said your Twitter bio. What was I going to go? It's your X bio.
It's weird. Sounds like something sexy.
Yeah. Well,
X bio.
No one said
no
Elon
Twitter.
Musk was typical. No
or
one's ever
good.
said that of him
or
anything good.
No.
Oh, what a time we've had with you all today.
You guys, this is great. Thank you so much for having us. You guys are great.
You both are wonderful.
Oh,
great.
Y'all are wonderful.
Haunted seance at the Houdini place, coming on the show,
Here for
being in a Exorcist, Bachelorette, whatever you want, we'll be there. Because
let's do it.
Man, this was fun.
This was great.
It was.
Absolutely.
Please come on 30 Morbid Minutes.
Yes,
absolutely.
You can talk about whatever you want.
Talk about whatever.
We'll put a pause on this, and then we'll just keep this conversation going on your show.
Keep going.
Cool. I love it. I love it.
Awesome.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you so much, Jess and Elyse.
I've got everybody's tracks. I can see them. Everybody looks good.
Awesome.
Yep.
Cool. Oh, yeah.
Everybody looks good. Saw that one. Okay.
We all did it at
Tommy
different
can
times.
figure that out. It's all none of that was together.
Wait, do you want to all clap and sync?
Okay.
Yeah, let's give it a 1,
2, 3. And we still did not do it. But I think that's because of the delay.